What are some things you could tell us about this new mind in relation to how the old mind was?
Okay, yeah, that's probably really a good question, because before we could go further forward more, it's wise that people could really look at a little bit about the new mindset. It really is because where it is that you could see back then that a giant leap was into this quantum age. And a giant leap was really made forward by a qualitative instruction more. And basically really like a new mind really, which you have where we are, is using territorial distinction to be able to define various things and have commensurable terms with each other, and how inclusive is what things were, as well as the well-formedness. Those were things which really was or did come along in this quantum age, but that back then it really was not as easy, for instance, for people to have spotted something which was just a complex equivalent, like where slippery slope would have been used in, you could imagine something was a variable that it was apparent but wasn't, but just was presupposed by something that you did or said, is an example of slippery slope. And so that's an example of spotting like a complex equivalent, which you and I have today. And there's quite a few examples of that, of course, because where you or I would talk about some distance that existed between objects, somebody could imagine, of course, in the past, which they did, but that was only put in terms of their mind travelling along through space, which they couldn't or weren't aware or weren't able to be considered of how conductive resonance occurs across the fabric of space. And so your mind really, in the past, if you could imagine it, people sort of mixed up spaceships sort of thing with the speed of processing information, and that because they couldn't imagine something going that fast, it was for them to have a complex equivalent as far as that was concerned, and they had no idea that there was a quadrillion units in a slow light second. So you've really got to imagine more like what we're talking about is conduction, and back then people could have seen jets and experienced, of course, jets that were flying 35,000 feet up in the air as in altitude, and down on the ground where you are there, it kind of rattled a window or something, which how that connectedness is to the plane quite via direct resonance, and through the medium of the JC quanta. So even though that plane was far away, it was connected to the window pane, people did see things like that, but it was just to notice the subtle things, this was really an observation of a JC quanta, whichever instantaneously there was quite a distance between the plane and the pane of glass. And you should keep in mind really that this new mindset really observes what's inside the vacuum, and that was something which caused people to shift incredibly into a new quantum age, which assisted, of course, change things, matter of fact.